So I want to talk about how we are all interconnected. We are all interconnected, and the better we can work together, the more we can all get. It doesn't work like how we think it works. Like, I give you a shirt, that means you have a shirt and I have 0 shirts. I feel like when we think about the universe, it's very easy to think of things working in a very linear fashion. But when it comes to energy, that's not what happens. If I give you love, then I feel love in my heart and you feel love in your heart. And then we both walk away from the situation feeling love, and then we spread it to even more people. And then those people feel love, and then we continue to spread it. For example, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, and I know these days are kind of ending, but when I was driving somewhere, I was driving through a toll booth and the operator was like, the car in front of you paid. And I was like, what? Like, I was handing my money and they're like, they paid for you. And I was like, oh, okay. Can you pass this to the person behind me? And they're like, sure. And I drove away from that toll booth so freaking excited. I felt so happy. I was literally driving. I had no idea who this car was. It was a complete stranger. It was only like $4. I literally already had it in my hands. I literally ended up paying anyway, but that act of kindness made me unbelievably happy to where I still remember it to this day. And because I was so happy, I spread the kindness around, because that's how energy works. That's how tapping into our highest power works. So in quantum physics, there's a principle called entanglement, and entanglement, or non-locality, is this concept that when 2 subatomic particles interact with each other. And remember, each subatomic particle, like electrons for example, can be a wave or a particle. They are both a wave and a particle. And this particle exists as a wave, which means it exists as a many potential. It exists as a wave packet. It exists as a wave packet in quantum physics is basically a way to encode information, and each wave holds tons of information about this subatomic particle. And so when one sub-electron interacts with another electron, both their wave packets are interacting. And when the waves interfere, they exchange information with each other. And the entanglement principle is that, okay, they exchange information, they go on their separate ways, and then one electron can be billions of light years away from the other electron, and they will still clearly interact, and it's almost as if they talk to each other. In subatomic particle terms, their spins will if one spins one way, the other will automatically spin the other way, almost as if they're talking to each other. This baffled scientists for a really long time, and still does. How do they do that? It's almost as if there's a particle communicating between them, moving faster than the speed of light, which is the fastest speed anyone can move. But in truth, they are just connected. It's not that they're talking to each other. It's as if there's a force acting upon them all at the same time. And this force is called the 0-point field. And the 0-point field is an energy force, which we live in right now. The 0-point field is this little buzz of energy. It's actually a massive buzz of energy, but this buzz of energy all around us that is generated from the interactions of subatomic particles. So electrons, for example, always oscillate around each other. And the oscillations, if the electron's always going like this, when scientists are doing calculations, they basically cancel this out, because the movements of the electrons cancel each other out, right? They're not really doing anything. They're not going farther or faster or anything. However, this creates a tiniest bit of energy, and there's a zillion, million, trillion electrons in the world, all going like this. Protons, neutrons, even smaller particles than that, all going like this, interacting with each other a little bit, and this creates a massive energy field around us. And remember, when subatomic particles interact, it's the wave encoded on one particle interacting with the wave encoding on the other, exchanging information. Then they exchange with another electron and another. So basically everything in the universe is exchanging information all the time. It's almost as if we're in one giant collective consciousness. Maybe you've heard that term before. So when one electron is acting upon the same force, it's because the energy, the information is all in the 0-point field. All information is in the 0-point field. So it's not that they're talking to each other, like one says something the way I'm talking to you. It's they just act on the same thing. Imagine like a school of fish, how they all turn at the same time, or a flock of birds. It's that kind of communication. So this entanglement principle is really telling about how we all interact with each other. If you've ever had, I'm stretching this, so this is not like the scientific reason, but it's almost like, have you ever had that deja vu moment, or what's the term? The devil, speak of the devil. Like, speak of the devil and the devil shall appear. Like, you think about someone or talk about someone who you haven't thought about in over a year, and then all of a sudden they text you. Or then all of a sudden they pop up on your Facebook page, or whatever. And it's because you had the intuition to think of them because they were thinking of you, because we're all interconnected, or whatever. They were going to appear in your life, so you just intuitively thought about them minutes before you saw that. We're all interconnected, and we're all speaking to each other at the same time. This also happens with many massive scientific discoveries. A lot of scientists come to discover the same things at the same time. For example, we know Thomas Edison invented the light bulb, but there's actually another scientist who also invented the light bulb pretty much the same time. Thomas Edison just got the patent a little bit sooner. But it's like, why would people do that? There's also, well, you could really dive down the rabbit hole on this one, but there have been a lot of studies that show people, who haven't traveled but are really skilled painters, painting scenes that they see in their dreams, or painting scenes that come up in their head, but it's like an exact picture of New York City, or an exact picture of a beach in Thailand, somewhere they've never been, they never would have seen otherwise, but that image pops in their brain because we're all connected. We're also all proven to be connected. So on that entanglement principle, where all subatomic particles exchange information the second they interact and hold on to that information forever and constantly exchange information with each other, we are all made from the same subatomic particles. So the Big Bang, when the universe was created, we all came from the small ball of energy, right? A small ball of energy exploded into everything we have today. All the planets, the galaxies, the grass, whatever. And this all came from the same material. So we were all literally created from the same stardust. We are all stardust, all of us, the same particles. So it makes sense that since we're all born from the same source material, we can all still communicate on some level. This is important to recognize because it helps us tap into our intuition more. And once you realize, okay, we are interconnected, we are not separate. Separateness is an illusion. Separateness is not real. Another example that can show how separateness is not real is, think about, okay, maybe you get in a fight with your brother, okay? You're watching Cartoon Network and he changes the channel to Nickelodeon right in the middle of Totally Spies. This is a real fight me and my brother got into, and I was so mad at him. I was so angry. We would fight, and we've gotten in millions of fights, right? But then imagine bully neighbor down the block comes and picks on your family. All of a sudden, you and your brother are one unit. You just hate that neighbor, right? And then think about someone from the other neighborhood comes and picks on your neighborhood. Now you, your brother, and that neighbor who were fighting before are all together in one tribe against that other neighborhood. Imagine, how, think about even on a massive scale, okay? Maybe North Korea and South Korea are fighting, or North Korea is fighting with everyone, okay? Like, we don't like them, or they don't like us politically. And then aliens come and invade the Earth and bomb everyone. All of a sudden, all humans on Earth will bond together and work together to fight the aliens, right? So, or think about like if, maybe the US and Mexico have problems, but if North Korea were to start bombing all of the Americas, we would join with Mexico probably to fight North Korea. So that was a very unscientific way to explain it, but you get what I'm saying. Like, even people who you have conflict with now, you would join together with if an alien, if someone outside of yourself came to fight you. And this is because that person that you're fighting with, when you're fighting, all you're viewing is the separation. You're just viewing their, things that they disagree with you on. But the second there's a threat and there's an other, all of a sudden you're bonded together and you fight on the same team. And that's because intuitively, in your heart, they are the same as you. Separateness is an illusion. Separateness is not real. They're the same as you. You're connected to them. So Separateness is not real, and the more we believe in other people's separateness, the more we listen to our ego, the more we tell ourselves our stories of, oh, that person's different than me, the more we repel the things we want in our life because we are not being our highest self. The more we all work together, the more you can see the light in someone else, the more you can see the value in someone else and love them, love thy neighbor, even if they're super annoying. The more you can spread love to everyone, generate these good feelings, put out good karma into the world, put out goodwill into the world, always value people light, the more this will come back to you. The more good karma will come back to you. So you can manifest what you want by recognizing we are all interconnected. Wealth or money is not separate than you. There's nothing about you that can't have money. You are inherently worthy. You are made of the same stardust as Jeff Bezos. You are made of the same stardust as Bill Gates. There's nothing about them that's more worthy of money than you are. Sure, they did something to get that money, but there's nothing you have to do. There's nothing you have to earn. They just provided value to the world in the way that made sense for them. So you just have to provide value to the world in the way that makes sense for you. And even if you're thinking, well, it's not possible for me to have, $1 trillion or whatever. Okay, well, it might be possible for you to have $1 billion or 500 million or 10 million. And doesn't that sound great? Isn't that a good starting point? So the more good karma we create, the more love we create, is the more abundance we create, is the more abundance we create for all of us. Healing and energy and love isn't linear. It's an energy that gets spread to everyone around us. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comment below. I would love to hear from you.